All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer, and this is prenatal yoga, something that's near and dear to my heart. Um, I have a 12-year-old daughter at home who is baking up a storm. I was just telling Valerie and Julia how much baking she's doing as an activity. She's in such a better mood while she's doing it, and so that's been great. And then I have a 8-year-old son who's been going a little stir crazy, but we've been getting out and playing and doing lots of things. But emotions have been, definitely present in our house with the kids and with the adults. And I've been thinking of this. There was an article in the Weekly talking about getting through this pandemic stronger, and it highlighted yoga practice and different physical activities. And I think that's such a lovely sentiment to get through a challenge like this and be stronger on the other side. But I also want to acknowledge how vulnerable and not strong we might feel when we're going through this. It's really normal to feel whatever that it is that you're feeling. And as you are getting ready, some of you already have little ones at home. Some of you, this is first pregnancy, first baby. You're already being a parent. And how we're already modeling things to our children. And in a sense, even in utero, you have a relationship where you're sharing a nervous system response. You're sharing a nervous system experience. And when I thought about this when I was pregnant, part of me was really scared, and I spent quite a bit of time feeling guilty because I was crying, I was having emotional challenges. And what one of the wonderful people here in our community, Dr. Fernando Molina, has really helped me with is also realizing how we could have this relationship and ruptures and emotional meltdowns and all this stuff, which is so natural. But then the repair afterwards, the importance of the repair, where we apologize to our children or to each other, or we're able to forgive ourselves and make amends with ourselves. And you can already talk to your little one with reassurance, like it's going to be okay, we're going to get through this. That type of repair is so important for the resilience of our own nervous systems, because we're creating a felt sense of safety that something could happen, but we know that we're going to come back to center. And that's how we create relationship with our children, and how when we're growing up, that relationship is created, that there's some event that's stressful, traumatic, or maybe it's just an argument, maybe it's a smaller rupture, but the fact that there's repair afterwards. And sometimes we got that when we were younger, sometimes not, but we're able now as adults to bring awareness to this and cultivate that for our own heart, and we're modeling that for our little ones. So I guess what I'm getting to is the idea of being strong. There's maybe a fuller picture than what we think of when we initially hear to get stronger. Part of being strong is having the courage to feel our feelings without dismissing them, and having compassion for ourselves. And you're modeling that for your little ones already, in a sense, because they get to experience that. And that's a beautiful thing. So we're going to practice feeling what we feel as we go through class, and that could be simply your physiology. I have a pinky ball here. You could use a tennis ball, and I'm also placed by a wall, so you could have a wall nearby. And I also have a yoga strap, which you could use a belt or a scarf or something like that for. So we'll get started. You could also have a chair. It's okay to sit on a chair if that's more comfortable for you than being on the floor. But wherever you are, you could close your eyes or soften your gaze. And take a moment to check in with yourself. And could you check in with a real sincerity, a genuine loving care? How are you feeling? Is there an echo from the morning's events or the week's events? Without having to judge or criticize, there may or may not be a clear answer, and that's perfectly normal. But we have some really simple skills that we come back to again and again. It's like suggestions to our physiology. There's not an emergency occurring right now in this room. Grounding. Drop your awareness right into your foundation. Where's the pressure between you and whatever it is that you're sitting on? And as uninteresting as that might seem, for just a moment, make that the most interesting thing. You could even try a little rock side to side to feel how the pressure might shift. Find where you feel most centered. It doesn't have to feel perfect. With that awareness of your foundation, let your exhales now run their course all the way to the end. And it can be very gentle. You don't have to force it. You're not going to get all the air out of your lungs. Just to let your exhale run its course all the way to the end with a curiosity of how that might affect your inhale. But also the exhale promotes the calming response in our nervous system. So see if each exhale you might feel a little more grounded. You could surrender to gravity just a degree or two more. See if your exhales could help soften the edges a little bit. Even the muscles of your face might be able to soften or relax. Your jaw, in between your eyebrows, the roof of your mouth, your palate. Those three things are always available. They're calming cues. Grounding, where are you making contact? Gentle, complete exhales. And to relax your jaw, your palate, your face. You could join your hands at your heart. And this theme of resilience, or what strength really means to you, set an intention. What would help support your vitality right now? And it might be courage, or it might be patience, playfulness. What would support you right now? Set an intention. You could bow your head to your heart. Release your hands. And we're going to start right off the bat with our clamshells, and it's kind of come from the floor all the way up. So lie down on your right side. And I hope you have whatever you need to be comfortable, whether it's padding to lie on. You could have a pillow. I'm using this blanket. And when you lie down on your left side, you're going to stack your hips so they're even, and so it looks like your knees are even. Now, I know you're at different stages of pregnancy. If it feels like a baby and belly is kind of pulling towards the floor, you could always slip a little blanket under the side of your belly, or adjust as needed. What's most important is that you feel comfortable and safe in your body. So please rest when you need to. Or if something doesn't feel right, don't do it. Okay. Stack your knees so they look even, and take your right hand and give your outer right hip just a little wake up. So it's like just a little massage, but you're also bringing sensation into your outer hip and your right butt, kind of. So we're hoping that these muscles can now wake up and help you with your clamshells as you bring your right arm in front of you. Press your feet into each other to lift your top knee away from your bottom knee. And then place it down slowly, maybe without even letting go completely. Just lightly touch, lift, and lower. This is kind of a big exercise, honestly, to start with if we're not warmed up. So be really gentle with yourself. The movement might be small, maybe just little lifts. But could you feel, perhaps, your outer right hip working? And if you don't, it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. You might experiment with bringing your knees farther down or farther up. You could lift your top knee, hold it, and now do little mini presses out into the air. Really bring your awareness into your hips and feel where there might be sensation, tone, working. When you're done, have a rest. Let your body breathe you. That's actually one of the things we're practicing. So like so much of what we do in yoga is a metaphor, right? So you do the best you can with what you have, and then there's a letting go or a practice of acceptance. You could also practice feeling effort and then letting that effort melt away. And now you have the effort of rolling over onto your other side, which I just checked in with 4 of you, and most of you are pretty far along, I think. So I know moving around on the floor could get awkward. So take your time. You could roll over onto your other side, set yourself up so you're comfortable, and stack your hips. You could take your left fist and give yourself a little wake up. That's a little fascial massage, but part of what we're doing is just by bringing sensation into this area, is hoping that that area will be kind of wake up and be willing to help. And then when you're ready, you'll press your feet into each other to lift your top knee away from your bottom knee and place it down gently. Or maybe not even place it down all the way at all. Lift and lower. So we're practicing present moment awareness, and you can just be curious if your jaw is trying to help, or if you start to hold your breath. Those are really normal strategies to get through a physical exercise. But see if you could keep your jaw relaxed and stay with your breathing. When you're ready, lift your knee partway, hold it, and then do little mini presses out into the air. Where do you feel that effort? Where do you feel tone? Really pay attention to that sensation, the quality of effort, and then really tune into what it feels like to let that effort melt away. How your breath responds, or if there's a sense of relief. You could take your time to come up to tabletop pose, hands and knees. Give yourself cushioning if you need for your knees. Press down through your hands and lengthen through your spine as if you could reach your tail back and the base of your skull forward. And with that length, exhale, round your spine, cat pose. Fill into your low back. Inhale, start to lift your sternum, the center of your chest, forward and up. Focus more on the back bend in your upper back than in your low back when you come into cow pose. Exhale, round your spine. Inhale, opposite action. So I know this could be a big stretch for your belly, even if you're just really early on in pregnancy. So that's one of the reasons why I suggest lift your sternum, more so than your tail or your sit bones. A couple more, trace your breathing, complete exhales as you relax your face. What's grounding like now? Where are you making contact? Where's the pressure? You could finish with a rounded spine, cat pose. Come back to table and come on up onto your knees, kneeling. If you need cushioning, get cushioning. So I am often, lots of people have indigestion or heartburn during pregnancy. Really normal, you're running out of space here. So if you have that, you don't want to go upside down. So instead, if we're doing down dog, you could do something like this. Ground down as you lift up through your arms. Ground down through your foundation, lift your rib cage up, and maybe even back a little bit. Complete exhale, feel how your inhale might help uplift. And lower your arms down slowly. So you could always do something that lengthens your spine in that way that you're lifting up. You can also clasp your hands back behind you and go ahead and try this. Roll your shoulders up and back and down and start to lift your arms. And it'd be very normal, especially in pregnancy, to get a big arch in your back and maybe to kind of pop out in front. But focus more on lifting your sternum as you lift your arms. Isometrically pull your hands away from each other a little bit. And release. So you can work with those kinds of things if you're feeling heartburn. Okay. If you're not, we're going to do down dog, and you could press down through your hands. Tuck your toes. You could always do cat-cow or something like that too. Tuck your toes, and if it feels all right, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog pose. Now, if you're not experiencing indigestion, down dog is a great way to help assist your breathing and your long exhale. Exhale all the way to the end. And introduce some movement. Bend one knee at a time as you extend your other heel towards the floor. It's also a nice way, notice ankle mobility. If your feet or ankles are feeling puffy, notice the movement that's happening there and how you also might get a stretch in your calves. And when you're done, touch down with your knees wide, rest back in child's pose, any version that's the most comfortable. You might use a block or pillows under your forehead. Remember your intention that you set at the beginning of class and take a big breath into the back of your body. Take your time to come back up to tabletop. We'll do one more downward dog pose. Tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back, and for this down dog, take your feet wider apart, bend both knees a lot, and see if you can take your hips farther back to lengthen through your spine and your torso. Press your feet towards the back of your mat. Inhale, lengthen through your legs. Exhale, bend your knees. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bend. Trace your breathing. And when you've had enough, again, touch down. You're going to use your own physiology as a mindfulness tool. Have a rest and tune into the sensation that's occurring with your breathing and from the echo of your effort in down dog. It might be temperature or tingles. Take a big breath into the back of your body if you can. You may or may not feel that tangibly. Come on up and take your time to come all the way up to standing. All the way up to standing, take your time. And this is where we're gonna use the pinky ball or the tennis ball, okay? So you could have the pinky ball or tennis ball on the floor and place the ball of your foot on the ball, okay, with your heel on the floor. So we're gonna work on this for a fascial massage and to release tension, but also hope to get lymph kind of pumping through up from the foot up into the leg. And with your heel on the floor, as you bend your knee and lean into the ball, notice that your ankle's bending. And then you come back. I'm gonna suggest exhale, lean into the ball, bend your knee, provided that doesn't agitate your knee. Inhale, back off. Exhale, bend your knee, lean into the ball, let your toes relax over the ball. You might even squeeze the ball with the toes a little bit. Just get to stretch the top of your foot, and at your own pace, you can go back and forth. So ankle mobility, this pumping action, helps to push lymph back up into the leg. Lymph, this fluid in our body, does not have a heart to pump it like blood does. And it relies on movement in order to pump through the body. And you have so much extra fluid in your body when you're pregnant, and you noticed, it's really natural to feel puffy. Try rolling the ball more towards the center of your foot now. Exhale, bend your knee, lean into the ball, inhale, back off. You might also be noticing other sensations. You might use a wall or something nearby to have your balance so it's not distracting. Lift your heel off the floor and bring the ball to the base of your big toe. And roll the ball from the base of your big toe along your inner arch all the way back to your heel. Now that technique, rolling from the base of the toes back to the heel, so then you kind of pick up your foot and then start from the base of your toes more towards the center of your foot, roll the ball along to the back of your heel. That's a technique used for lymphatic drainage. Now, it just so happens your foot is, of course, way down on the ground. But this pumping action and this roll the ball towards your heel is a technique to kind of push the lymph back up into your ankle and leg. And so, Geneva, you might stick with this version if you're feeling like your foot or ankle's really puffy, but it's also okay to explore by rolling your foot all over the ball. Now, one of the life skills we practice here is noticing how you respond to the experience. Are you feeling some trigger points or sensitive areas? See if you could pause on one of those places we call a trigger point. And notice if your physiology is responding, like is your jaw or body temperature or breathing responding to the experience of the pinky ball. Could you practice your calming cues? So as you hold that trigger point, gentle, complete exhales, relax your jaw, your palate, even imagine your tailbone relaxing. You can roll it out. And see how your feet feel side to side. You could even bend your knees, see if your ankles feel any different side to side. They may not. Results will vary. Try the other side. Put the ball at the base of your toes on the ball of your foot. Provided your knee is okay with this, you're going to keep your heel on the floor. Exhale, lean into the ball, bend your knee. Inhale, back off. So if you keep your heel on the floor, notice you're practicing ankle mobility, which has so much to do with balance, how we walk, being able to walk on uneven surfaces. But this pumping action movement helps create synovial fluid to lubricate joints, but it also movement helps to pump lymph through the body. And you could try bringing the ball a little bit more towards the center of your foot. Exhale, bend your knee, lean in. You can curl your toes around the ball or let your toes just relax. You might get a nice stretch to the top of your foot. Are you experiencing sensation? And do you have opinions about these sensations? It feels good or it's too intense? Is your physiology responding? Get really curious about that. When you're ready, you can lift your heel, bring the ball to the base of your toe and roll the ball from the base of your toe all along your inner arch all the way back to your heel. And then try that more from the middle of your foot. So we're working with lymph, okay? We're working with the life skill of paying attention to how we respond to our experience, what our physiology does in these calming cues. You're also giving a fascial massage. And so this connective tissue in our body. And so many fascial lines, like these ways that tissue is connected way up through our body, starts in our feet. And I won't get too much into that right now. It's another topic. But this little foot massage can have a lot of benefits for releasing tension, not only in your feet, but elsewhere in your body. See if you can roll the ball around and find a place that's a little more sensitive. You could feel like, oh, you want to gasp or make a funny face or clench up your fists. Pause on that area. Now, it doesn't have to be crazy intense to be effective. So you could ease off if it's too much. But once you're there, let your exhales run their course. Feel grounding, gravity. Relax your jaw, your eyebrows. Even your tailbone might be able to relax a little bit. You can roll it out. And let that go. Set the ball aside where it won't be hazardous. And stand and just feel standing, what grounding is like. Maybe if your breath responds just after that activity. We're going to stay with ankle mobility, but this is beyond ankle mobility. Now we're working with psoas, okay, and how these things are connected. And your psoas is the one on each side, okay, and it's your biggest, deepest flexor that pulls us in like this. So it's also very connected to our nervous system state. Take a little step back with your left foot. It's kind of a little uneventful step. And your heel may want to go in, but try to have your left heel, your back heel go more or less straight back as best as you can. Spring up onto the ball of your left foot, and as that springs you forward, bend your right knee, let your body weight drop into your right foot. Now draw your left heel straight back, body weight drops back. Spring yourself forward and back. I teach this all the time. And what's so funny is, if you've heard me say before, some of you, I was not a fan of this exercise. It seemed kind of boring. I wasn't getting any great big sensation. But what I've found working with in my own body and with clients is the benefits to this really simple movement and what we're about to do. There's a lot of benefit. And in a pregnant body, okay, It's your weight's compensating towards growing this human, and it tends to kind of pull us forward, or we're getting tight or tighten our low back. So the next time you come forward, stay there. And could you keep baby right where baby is without following along as best as you can, as you now send your left heel all the way back to the mat. Once your heel reaches, you might get a big calf stretch. That's a benefit, ankle mobility. We're also hopefully lengthening the left psoas. Sweep your arms up, and as you press down through your feet, think of lifting up through the back of your ribs. So the back of your body get a bit more broad. Exhale all the way to the end like you're blowing out of a straw. And you can stay right here or take a hold of your left wrist. And as you press down through your feet, lift up with your rib cage, up and over to the right a little bit. And some movement. Do you feel any lengthening or stretch through the left side of your body? And whatever your answer is correct. Come all the way up, step forward. Again, notice how your body wants to breathe. And what grounding feels like side to side. Try the other side. Step back with your right foot or your opposite foot. Feet hip width apart. Your right heel could go more or less straight back. Spring yourself forward and draw yourself back. Forward and back. Ankle mobility, so you could feel how the pressure is shifting, right, from foot to foot. Your toes are in motion, ankles, arches, shin bones. Just feel that movement, and the next time you come forward, stay there. You could keep your pelvic bowl, baby, your whole torso where it is, as you send your right heel all the way back to the mat. It's like there's these two opposing forces. We call it action and resistance. Once your heel reaches the floor, sweep your arms up and think of lifting. The psoas connects to your spine, especially in pregnancy. It's going to be really normal if you have a big arch in your back here. That means the psoas is probably somewhat shortened. So think of lifting up through the back of your rib cage. Lengthen up to the back of your spine. Exhale all the way to the end like you're blowing out of a straw. You could stay right here or take a hold of your right wrist. Press down as you lift up, up, up with your rib cage, up and over to the left. You could try some movement. You're not only giving a tug on the psoas, but probably on your main breathing muscle too. So when you're ready, come up, step forward, and again, simply observe. Try not to inhibit your breathing, but feel how your body breathes you. Feel what grounding is like. Take a wide stance. A wide stance, about a leg's distance between your feet or shorter. Turn your right toes out to the right and take your left heel back a little bit. So your toes and your knees are facing the same way. Grounding, really press into your right foot firmly. Bend your right knee. Open your right knee towards your right little toe. Press down into your heel. You might feel clamshell muscles a bit. If you like, you could sweep your arms out wide. Warrior two, Virabhadrasana, two pose. Remember your intention. Could you combine that with this posture? Like, how does that intention you set, how would that affect the quality of your effort right now? Press down, exhale, come up. Inhale, bend your right knee. Exhale, press down to come up. Inhale, bend. Trace your breathing. And as you go through this movement, could you keep your back foot grounded? Could you keep an awareness in your left foot and that it stays committed to pressing into the floor, even as you bend your right knee? So we're now movement, right? Synovial fluid, this lubricating fluid for your hip. We're still working with ankle movement, kind of this pumping action in the legs. The next time you come down, stay there. Bring your hands to your hips. Press down on your hips to lengthen up through your torso. Really press into your back foot as you tilt your pelvis and your whole spine goes along for the ride. You can either bring your right hand or your forearm onto your thigh like a shelf. You could stay right here or sweep your left arm into this line. So you're creating a line from your left heel to your hip, to your shoulder, to your thumb. Reach your left heel and your left thumb away from each other. Where's the movement of your breath occurring now? Press down to come all the way up. You could turn your feet forward, switch sides, turn your left toes out to the left. Take your right heel back a little bit. Really press into your right footprint. And so this is also a mindfulness practice. It's subtle, but if you could keep your awareness, feel the texture of your mat, what that feels like, even as you bend your left knee. So you're giving thinking mind a job. This is one of our strategies to help quiet thinking mind in the nervous system. What's it feel like if you open your left knee towards your left little toe, press down into your heel? Do you feel any engagement? Try to keep that if you do, and sweep your arms out wide. Warrior two, Virabhadrasana, two pose. How does your intention, that quality of heart or perspective, how would it influence your facial expression or your gaze right now, your outlook? Press down, exhale, come up. Inhale, bend your left knee. Warrior two, exhale, come up. Inhale, bend. Trace your breathing. And all the while, see if you could keep a curiosity about grounding. How does the pressure shift beneath your feet with this movement? Could you keep your right foot connected? Next time you come down, stay there. Bring your hands to your hips. Press down on your hips to lengthen up through your torso. Then press into your back foot as you tilt your pelvis, spine, neck, head goes along for the ride. Left hand or forearm could come to your thigh like a shelf. You could stay right here. In fact, press your right foot into the mat. Press your right hand on your right hip, kind of press that back as you lengthen forward through your spine. And if you like, you could add your arm into this line. It's a big side stretch. Reach your right heel and your right thumb away from each other. Where does your breath move through your body if you exhale all the way to the end? Press down to come all the way up. Turn your feet forward. Take your time to step together. Just kind of shake out your legs and see how things are feeling after that movement. Things feel at all different. They may not. And one of the things that my teacher Scott's always saying is results may vary. It's very true in this practice. So it's hard. Yoga teachers often kind of suggest how or what you should be feeling, but we don't really know what you're feeling. So that's part of our practice, is also acknowledging and feeling in our own body sensation, physiological response, but also emotions. So all of these layers, we're practicing to have present moment awareness. Take your yoga strap now. And if you have a block, you could use a block. It's not necessary. The block is for in between your legs, right above your knees. And it gives you something to kind of squeeze. So we're working outer hips. When you squeeze or hug onto a block or maybe a folded up towel or something, you get a little more feedback in your inner thighs. We might also be getting some tone in pelvic floor maybe. Okay? So you could give that a squeeze, whether you're using a block or not. Press down through your feet and lengthen up through the back of your spine, the back of your torso. Hold your strap or your scarf a little wider than shoulder width and pull your hands away from each other as you bring your arms up to shoulder height. We'll add some movement. Now here, but first, feel as you press down through your heels and lengthen up through the base of your skull, could you keep some type of steadiness without wiggling? So again, baby's gonna stay put. As you exhale, lower your arms. Inhale, lift your arms, maybe all the way up overhead if that feels okay. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Does your torso want to move around? Could you keep it fairly steady and feel the movement maybe in your shoulders and your upper back? The next time you come up, stay there. Press down through your feet. Pull your hands away from each other as you lift your rib cage up and over to the right. What happened to grounding? Could you press down through both feet as you reach up and away from there? All the way up. Pay attention now. The pressure shifts beneath your feet as you lift up and over to the left. Could you ground down through all four corners of both feet as you reach up and away? Big breath. All the way up. Press down as you lift your sternum up and back. And as you're ready, you can come all the way up, lower your arms in slow motion, and really tune in to all the sensations, tingles, temperature, circulation. Make that the most interesting thing. Even when the exercise is over and your arms could relax, let your body breathe you and pay attention to how your physiology is metabolizing that event after the fact. Hold your yoga strap, press down through your feet, lift up overhead once again. This time go really wide on your yoga strap. Your wrists may want to pop forward, but you're going to try to keep them in alignment with your fists and your forearms. Take the strap a little bit back behind you. That could be plenty. Now, did baby just pop out way in front when you did that? Okay. It's not wrong. You could be a little amused. Okay, so your body's looking for the place where the movement happens the most easily. Could you ground down through your feet and again try to keep that steadiness with your pelvis, rib cage as you bend your elbows to draw the strap back and behind. And the idea is by keeping that steadiness through your torso, you're going to invite maybe more mobility into your upper spine and get a big opening to your chest, which tends to get tight in all humans, but in pregnancy, it'd be even more so. When you're done, you could either release in the front or you could come all the way down and back. Release that. So here, we're going to work with the wall a little bit. I feel a little awkward teaching this online, but we're just doing it anyway. The wall is a wonderful prop, and it's very stable. And also for people, not only pregnant people that maybe are having indigestion or hands and wrist carpal tunnel stuff, so many people have hand and wrist stuff. So using the wall is a way to take weight bearing out of the hands and wrists. We're going to start with down dog at the wall. And you place your hands shoulder width apart and on the wall, shoulder height. Okay, press into the wall. As you press down through your feet, your heels lengthen up through your torso. So you're already creating some type of cohesiveness. Could you keep some of that as you now step back with each foot and take your hips way back? Down dog at the wall. Press into the wall. Try bending your knees to take your hips a little farther back to really lengthen through your torso. Could your head and your neck be a nice continuation of the rest of your spine? What's your breath like? When you're ready, step forward. We're going to use the wall for a lunge now. Okay, so you're going to step your right foot close to the wall, fingertips at the wall for balance, and then take several or a big step back with your left foot. So it's kind of like our psoas walk, but a lot longer stride. Bend your right knee so it's right over your right ankle, and press down into both feet. Your back foot can press into the mat and a little bit back behind you as you lift the front of your pelvic bowl up. Lengthen up through your spine, stay right here, or sweep your left arm up, and as you press down through both feet, lift up with your rib cage and over to the right. If you press into your right heel, you maybe feel right clamshell muscles working. Big breath. Come all the way up. Take your time to step forward and see how that feels side to side. And you get ready to do the other side. So left toes close to the baseboard. Take several or a big step back, Provided it doesn't hurt, you're going to be on the ball of your right foot and your heels lifted and centered. Okay? It just gets maybe the hip flexors in a little different way. Bend your left knee so it's right over your left ankle. Press down into both feet as you lift the front of your pelvic bowl up, lengthen up through your spine. You could stay right here or sweep your right arm up. Press down through your feet, lift your rib cage up and over to the left. Come all the way up, take your time to step forward. Again, you can roll your shoulders out, shake out your legs a little bit. Take your yoga block if you have one, or it could be like a tightly rolled towel or something like that. This is everybody's favorite exercise, chair at the wall. So you're going to have the block in between your knees or right above your knees and lean back on the wall. And you could enjoy that for a moment, walk your feet out in front of you. Wall. Give it a hug and check that your feet are fairly parallel. Bend your knees. Now you might just come down a little bit. You could adjust your feet. Maybe you come down a little farther. Hug the block as you gently lift the front of your pelvis. You don't have to super press your low back into the wall, but there's maybe light contact or almost contact. Are you breathing? Reach your arms up if you like. Now as you hug the block, actively press down through your feet, including your outer heels. Because your outer heels press down a lot and you might feel those clamshell muscles. Complete exhales. And when you're ready, come on up. You can set the block or the block aside. Shake out your legs a little bit. We're going to do a big hip stretch at the wall and then use the ball, okay? So this is, I've been demonstrating this in a chair online, okay, because it's a little awkward. We're going to go for it. So with the wall, you'll have your arms, okay, arm distance away, and you practice a little chair pose. Maybe pretend there's a wall in front of you right here. So you're going to do a little chair pose and press down into your right foot and see if you could lift your left foot to cross over your thigh. Fingertips at the wall for balance. Square your hips towards the wall. Flex your left foot and open your left knee back behind you a little bit. And with the wall or maybe a chair or a sofa in front of you for balance, this might be plenty. But if you like, you can walk your hands down the wall, lengthen through your spine. And again, could your hips be square towards the wall? So there's a tendency to do a sachet out like this. You're going to reach back, lift your left hip slightly. Complete exhale. And when you're ready, come up. Shake it out. So you might notice, you might have gotten a big stretch in your left hip, but your right hip is also really working to strengthen. If that's more what you feel as you're standing like working, it's totally normal. Let's try the other side. I'm going to again do this with an imaginary wall. Okay? So fingertips at the wall about an arm's distance away. Sit back like you're sitting back in a chair. Press down into your left foot firmly as you lift your right foot, cross your right ankle just past your thigh bone. And my whole hips just do this big sachet to make that happen. Reach your left sit bone back. Square your hips forward as you flex your foot and draw your right knee down a bit. You could stay right there, release at any time, or you could walk your fingertips down the wall, lengthen through your spine. Complete exhales. When you're ready, come on up. And shake out your legs a little bit. See how that feels. Take your pinky ball or your tennis ball. Now this is really funny to teach online, but we're just going to go for it. In prenatal class, I usually teach in a room that has a lot of windows, and I'm often thinking how funny we would look if someone looked in on us when we're doing some of the exercises we do. And this is one of them. It reminds me of bears that are scratching their back on the tree. And take the pinky ball or tennis ball. Remember that clamshell area? Outer hips, okay? This has been a favorite for a lot of the mamas. You're going to take the ball in between your hip and the wall. And then see, just like you rolled out your feet and roll around. Oh my gosh. Ah. I think just the tension in my body from this whole, all this COVID business and the pandemic and missing people, it feels even a little more tender. It's surprising, whoa, what you might feel. Notice how your physiology responds, your breath, your eyebrows. And if you could find a place we think of as a trigger point and pause, and invite a bit of a melting around the ball. Melt your jaw with each exhale. Relax your hands. You can roll it out. How things feel, try the other side. Okay. So this is, we're working, a lot of women complain of achy hips during pregnancy. You could take the ball again. Where were those clamshell muscles? Where was that area you were working? That's where the ball is going to go. So it's not on like your sit bones or on any bony structure. It's really more on your kind of meaty part of your hip. I always think this looks funny. It's like, ooh, in the wall. Now I'm doing it by myself to cameras. But I know you're out there with me. Normally there's a lot of sound effects in the room when we do this, like, oh my gosh, or, you know, notice how you respond. Okay. Sound effects, your breathing, facial expression. Find a place to pause. So this does not compare to labor, obviously, or other challenging life situations, but we could apply the same skills. There's an event that's occurring that you have some response to. It might not be the most comfortable. Now, long exhales, let them run their course. Relax your jaw, your hands, your tail. A bit of a surrender to gravity, like you could just melt with each exhale. Let that go. I'm going to do one more thing at the wall. I could set the ball down. So either back to down dog at the wall or dolphin pose at the wall. And dolphin pose is on your forearms. It's the same as down dog, essentially only elbows shoulder width apart. Press into the wall. And when you step back, try to keep your forearms will slide down the wall a little bit, but try to keep them higher than your hips. Press into the wall as you take your hips back, back, back. You could bend your knees. You could hold that a little bit longer for a couple more breaths. As you lengthen through your whole spine, because your neck and head be part of that nice long line. Bend your knees, reach your hips way back to lengthen. When you're ready, you can release, step forward, roll out your shoulders, and take your time to come down and have a seat. Sit however you are most comfortable. You could be in a chair. We're about to do Shavasana, but before we rest in Shavasana, I'm going to just go through a little breathing exercise. In fact, if you want to lie down and make your setup right now, you're welcome to do that. You could do this breathing exercise if you're either lying on an incline or on your side. So whether you're seated or whether you're lying down, this is a really simple breathing technique. It's meant to be simple. It's meant to be very soft and gentle. So if you find that you are kind of striving or forcing the breath, ease off. If you find you're starting to feel anxious or it's uncomfortable, let it go. Okay, so again, results vary, even with these really subtle exercises. You could have your eyes either open or closed. If your eyes are open, have a steady gaze. And just tune your awareness into the natural movement that's occurring with your breathing without having to manipulate it or change it. You might notice just by bringing your awareness to your breath, it could change. And try not to influence it. You're going to give thinking mind a job, and the job is to count your breath. So count the length of your inhale, slow and steady, kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or wherever it naturally lands. Then count the length of your exhale, slow and steady, to match that pacing, but have your exhale be 2 or more counts longer than your inhale. Have your exhale be 2 or more counts longer than your inhale. You don't get more points for having a longer exhale. It doesn't have to be super, super long. Let it be gentle and soft and doable. Once you create a ratio that feels relaxed, you don't have to force it. Stay with that practice of counting your breath with your longer exhales for 4 more breath cycles. Take your time to finish that up. There's no rush. And after you're done, whether you're seated or whether you're already lying down, just take a moment to feel any echo as you let your breathing again be completely natural without having to influence it. If you're seated, you can now take your time to make yourself cozy for Shavasana, resting pose. And in class, we lie down in bolsters. We'd set up a posture where you could recline, but you're on an angle. You could do that at home with pillows or a recliner. You could lie on your side. The idea is that you just set up a space that you could be really comfortable and warm enough. And to even consider, like this is an easy point, especially when you're doing a home practice, to kind of let it go or not pay as much attention. But I'm going to encourage you to really have this be part of your practice. This is really significant. You just put in quite a bit of concentration and physical effort. And essentially, you're practicing rest. Rest is one of the ways we can help support ourselves, especially when we're going through a challenging experience. We need rest to repair our nervous system. You're growing a person. It takes a lot of energy. So as you make any last little adjustments to get all cozy and comfortable, once you've done that, have a sense that you could begin to let go. A surrender to gravity where you could be really heavy towards the earth. Imagine that your muscles now could soften their grip on your bones so you could be even a little heavier with each exhale. You don't need to manipulate your breathing in any way. It might get shallow, that's okay. Each exhale could still encourage a little bit more softening. Even your skin might be able to soften. Relax your jaw and your forehead, even the palate, the roof of your mouth. Invite your thinking mind to have a rest. Thoughts will come up, but we're not going to get anything done right now with planning or memory or problem solving. So when thoughts come up, see if you could surrender it aside or let it pass by without reacting. And you could give yourself the loving reminder, just rest right now. It's okay to just rest. attention back to grounding and where you're being held by the earth, the surface beneath you. One of our more profound practices is right now just a personal check-in with sincere care, like you check in with your little one. How are things feeling? You really genuinely care, regardless of the results. You have a sense of your nervous system state, or maybe your emotional body. Maybe it's not clear, and that's perfectly normal too. So check in and care. How are you feeling right now? When we're able to acknowledge that and validate it as worthy of paying attention to, we're also modeling that to our little ones. We're practicing what's often called emotional intelligence. An awareness of our response or our relationship to our experience, so then we can more skillfully respond rather than react. And it takes practice. So according to how you're feeling, you could deepen your breathing, bring movement back if you like. And if you like, eventually make your way up to a seat. I say if you like because we're not all in the room together, you're at home. If you feel and are able to just continue right into a nap, that's lovely. When you are seated, if you come up to a seat, you could either have your eyes closed or a soft gaze. There's no rush. And continue with that practice of curiosity. Regardless of results. Another practice that's important as parents is acknowledging our effort. Even if it turns out not at all how we like, we could still acknowledge the effort we put in. Learn from how we might want to do things differently. You could join your hands at your heart and acknowledge the care and effort you're putting in to this whole experience. And you might be having to deal with all kinds of other things, work, responsibilities, survival mode in the midst of this challenging time. If criticism, self-criticism was to melt away, could you acknowledge the effort that you're really putting in? It's significant. Thank you all so much for joining, sharing your practice with me and with each other, even though we're far away from each other. Namaste.